for so long. I'd make a much better daughter than Rose. Please, won't you stay with me forever?
What?
When we think of Resident Evil, we usually instantly think of the larger-than-life monsters, the overgrowth mutations, and the hordes of zombies, which they never truly dabble into the supernatural aspect in the survival horror genre. Well, at least not until now in Resident Evil Village, because even though this game is still bound to the realistic aspect of this franchise, this antagonist that we're about to cover comes very close to the supernatural as they come, giving us players some of the best, creepiest, and scariest moments in Resident Evil Village. So without any further ado, let's explain the story of Donna Beneviento and her doll, Angie.
Don't leave. I can't let you.
You're still alive, huh? You better find me a clue before my friends murder you! TikTok! Your life's on the line.
Wait!
Which we can cover her story or origins, her concept design as a character, her role in Resident Evil Village, and how she used her mutation to control that creepy doll of hers. So in the beginning, Donna Beneviento, born under the House Beneviento, was one of the 4 families that ruled over the region in Resident Evil Village, and as a child, she was known to have always feared other people, which was due to a scar that she had across her face. Her father, however, made Donna a doll, which was later known as Angie, the doll that Donna Beneviento would use to live through. Anyway, sometime later, we learned that Donna's parents would pass away, leaving Donna the sole remaining member of House Beneviento, which she would lock herself away from everyone in her remote and isolated portion of the village, tending to her days of just making more of her dolls inside of her home. But later on, we found out that she would be approached by Mother Miranda, the ruler of the village and the 4 houses of the region, opting to adopt the sole remaining member of House Beneviento. Also, a great amount of information was found in one of the files of the gardener's diary, summarizing, November 10th, Mistress Donna is now Mother Miranda's adopted daughter. In all my years, I've never been this overjoyed. Ever since childhood, she has always feared others, due to the scar across her face. After her parents' death, she locked herself away and would only talk to Angie, the doll her father made her. I am forever thankful to Mother Miranda's infinite compassion. Then moving on to November 27th, Mistress Donna seems happy. It might be my imagination, but I feel like her doll Angie is even more lively than before. She came to me in the garden today and used Angie to talk with me. We had a mighty fine conversation, something about receiving a gift of power from Mother. Then lastly, November 29th, Mistress Donna gave me yellow flowers and told me to plant them in the garden. I planted them in front of Mrs. Claudia's grave. I don't know if it was the scent of the flowers, but I felt lightheaded. Then, like a dream, I saw my departed wife. I mentioned this to Donna, and she seemed thrilled by it. She told me to go to the house tomorrow and see her. She said I could see my family once more. I'm not really sure what she meant by that, but she's so kind. So after reading the gardener's diary, we quickly understand where Donna is coming from, and already gives us hints on how she uses the powers that was given to her by Mother Miranda, which we find out was called the Cadeau parasite, a byproduct of experiments from the Megamycete and the mold strain.
So they're using this to control the bioweapons.
Because once given to Donna, she would have a portion of her face mutated, which then she would later on share this Cadeau with her dolls, especially with Angie.
You're never going to get out of here!
Allowing Donna to literally live through her doll, almost as a surrogate way of communication, due to her lack of social skills from all the isolation she had for many years. This of course would be a great segue where we cover her overall appearance, her powers, and where her concept design as a character came to be. Because it's no secret when it comes to the scare factor, using dolls has definitely become a staple when giving people some very creepy and scary moments, which this would translate to Donna Beneviento and her doll Angie, being a combination of a quiet and mysterious figure in the background and using her living doll as a conduit for her communication with other people, which this fact was supported from what we read in the gardener's diary, where he says that the doll Angie seemed more lively than before and that Donna used the doll to communicate with him. Also, in regards to her overall appearance, she wears a full body mourning garb, which was very prevalent in the Victorian era, symbolizing a sad and deathly event, which Donna opted to use this type of attire, possibly stemming from the loss of her parents when she was young. Also, this full body garb would be used to cover her mutated portion of her face, prompting the use of her doll Angie as a pseudo way of communication. So all in all, Donna Beneviento was already an isolated individual prior to her being adopted by Mother Miranda, using dolls as a way to communicate and possibly keep her sane, or at least to a certain degree, because we would learn that after receiving the gift from Mother Miranda, the Cadeau parasite, which would mutate a portion of her head, resulting in a mental breakdown, which was already pretty fragile to begin with. Though this would not stop Donna from sharing her Cadeau with her dolls, dividing them up equally and living through them and even controlling them. But on top of that, Donna's main ability was her trait of secreting a pheromone, which controls the plants that were already infected with the mutamycete. Hence, when these infected plants would release their pollen to the surrounding area, those who are in the proximity would suffer many hallucinatory effects. This fact again is backed up with the gardener's diary, when he stated that Donna wanted him to plant these yellow flowers, not knowing that these flowers were already infected with the mutamycete, which in turn would cause the gardener to feel lightheaded after smelling the scent, and would state that he saw his deceased wife soon after. This revelation of the gardener would thrill Donna, propagating her to invite him into the Beneviento house where he can finally see his family once more. So with this information, we already know that Donna used her abilities on the gardener, confirming the hallucinatory effects of the pollens from the mutamycete infected flowers, explaining all the crazy and weird events that we saw when playing as Ethan Winters, because we later find out that Ethan would be subject to all the pollen from these infected flowers, causing a similar hallucinatory effect that the gardener had, but this time around would have him right in the middle of the Beneviento household, being chased after by a disturbing and Silent Hill type of baby monster. But then would move on to his confrontation with Donna Beneviento herself and her doll Angie, as we play a very scary version of hide and seek, as we try to make our way inside the Beneviento household while avoiding being killed by the many dolls inside the complex. Though even with this very different style of boss fight in Resident Evil Village, we soon find out after finding and fighting the doll Angie, we get this last plot twist in the end, which makes us realize that this whole time, Donna was in full control of Angie, and all the scary things that we saw was due to the hallucinatory effects of the mutamycete infected flowers and its pollen.
Stupid idiot! What are you doing to my cute friends?
It's over.
With this exact fact grounding the supernatural-like powers of Donna Beneviento back to a more realistic Resident Evil explanation of her abilities. This was also mentioned in one of the books found in Mother Miranda's lab towards the end of the game, summarizing Donna's abilities, stating how mentally unstable she was, and that her mutation from the Cadeau was limited, rendering her to be just like any regular human in terms of overall body makeup, explaining why Ethan was able to subdue Donna after several stabs from a regular scissor.
Everything would be better if Rose wasn't born.
Fucking monster.
But all in all, Donna Beneviento and her doll Angie was definitely one of the best highlights in Resident Evil Village, because in conclusion, Donna's ability that appeared to lean more on the supernatural side of things made this game very interesting and scary, truly showing us the amazing effects of the Mutamycete. Also on top of that, it's great to see that Donna and Angie take some inspiration from the likes of the movies like Dead Silence, Chucky, and even The Conjuring's Annabelle, giving us Resident Evil fans one of the scariest and creepiest moments in this franchise. Anyways, overall, what did you guys think about Donna Beneviento and her doll Angie? And which part during your playthrough in House Beneviento was your favorite? Please let me know in the comment section down below. Also, if you guys enjoyed the content, then please feel free to like and subscribe for more Resident Evil Explained videos in the future. And if you guys also want to play Resident Evil Village on PC, then please feel free to click on the link down below where you guys can get a copy of Resident Evil Village for 15% off from Green Man Gaming, which I personally get my games from them as well. They are highly reputable and have many more games for discounted prices on their website. Again, this is Green Man Gaming. Anyways, I do hope you guys enjoyed this video of the story of Donna Beneviento and her doll Angie. And as always, you guys have a great rest of your day. And this is Hey DeVuH, and I'll see you guys on the next video.
You do this to Rose too.